house needs painting, the grass needs mowing. Where's he at?
Hi, this is Hank. Sorry I missed your call. Leave me your name and your number and I'll get back to you.
He's gone fishing.
Welcome to Off the Water with Hank Parker. Is that right? All right,
Good job.
I got it. Hey, I got a special gift. I caught this man down at my pond naked.
Yeah, it's amazing the relationships you can make with people when you trespass on their property.
I caught him red-handed, a naked man fishing in my pond. I have got Ginger, none other than the world's most famous Ginger Billy.
You know how to make me feel good, man. I appreciate it. It's good to be here, neighbor.
Hey,
Nice to be here.
You know, I have some notoriety and a little popularity, been on television for 40 years, but I took a back seat to Franco Hill.
Oh.
He was the most famous Unionite or Lockhart Shoals resident. And now I take a way back seat to Ginger
No,
Billy.
sir.
And you right over there by Franco.
Oh, well, yeah, man, in his backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is amazing how many people know that guy. Like, being on the road
yeah.
and stuff, people say, oh, you know, that's where old Frank Hill was from.
That's
And I'm
right.
like, man, he was the one that did the pigeon or the poop rings and stuff.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
that's right.
man, that's wild
Yeah.
that people remember,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, that dude was a figure, man.
Oh, he was a nut. That's how I got here. I came to Union to deer hunt on Franco Hill's land. I was at the Charlotte Boat Show, and Franco Hill, they'd just come out, Humminbird had come out with paper chart recorders, and Franco said, looky here now. Hey, you know how to run one of these things? I said, I do. He said, you like to deer hunt? I said, I do. He said, you got a bow and arrow? I said, I do. He said, well, I tell you what, you can bring your bow and arrow and hunt all my land if you'll teach me how to use one of them chart recorders.
Really?
I said, how much land you got? He said, 525 acres. I said, you're in.
Good land, too,
So,
man.
yeah,
That's awesome.
I took him fishing, and we became buddies, and that's how I ended up in Union, South Carolina.
Man, that's crazy. My mama was, meter reader for Lockhart, and she loved him to death. I mean, she would stop down there and talk to him, and just in some of the stories I've heard and stuff about him, he's just really cool, unique guy.
He's. I have to tell you a quick story on Franco. He loved to striper fish. He liked to fish for white bass and stripers. And I lived up on Lake Norman at the time, so I called Franco, and the stripers were just going nuts. So I worked for Berkeley at that time, and they had bought, and I had a whole series of Hank Parker rods. So Berkeley had bought Fenwick, and they came out with a new technology called Airman Veil. And those rods were very, very expensive, like $200 when they first came out. And so they sent me about 6 or 8 of them, but they did not want me to use them on television or when anybody else was around, because they didn't want me to interfere with the signature rods.
Wow.
But they wanted me to understand the technology and see what I thought of the design. So they sent me these rods, so I called Franco, told him the fish were schooling, and I had a Hank Parker signature reel. So I fixed him up a rod and reel, probably worth $400.
Ooh.
And I put him some line on it, put him a bucktail. So I called him, told him stripers were biting, how about come spend the night, and we'd go the next morning. So he took me up on it. He came up. When he came up, I gave him that rod and reel. He said, Hanky, you going to give me that? I said, yeah. He said, for my very own? I said, yeah. To keep? Yeah.
Like a little child at Christmas.
Yeah. So I said, yeah, Franco. He said, well, that's the nicest thing anybody's ever given me.
Man.
I said, well, good for you, Frank. So the next morning, we go out and we start fishing. And I pride myself on being able to read the birds and know where to get. The seagulls will dive in the water. So the first one to the school of fish, when we get there, if we're first, Franco and I both are going to hook up. And we're going to catch one. But if you're second or third, odds of you catching one's not nearly as good. So the guy that's really good at reading where the birds are going to dive next and get there right on top of that school, they have a better odds of catching fish.
Now, these birds is diving at the bait fish.
That's right. They
Okay.
dive, and the stripers come in and they start herding the shad up, and so
The birds
dive right in the middle of where they're herding the shad up.
Gotcha.
So that's where the fish are. So
Understandable.
they're the indicator where the fish are. So every time I'd see it, I'd jerk that troll motor up. Old Franco would be back there throwing that. It's that one of them 100-yard casts. So we had a little conference. You know, he never called me Hank. It was always Hanky. Hanky. Let me tell you something, Hanky. So I had a little conference with Frank. I said, let me tell you something, Frankie. when Hanky picks up that troll motor, it's time for Frankie to wind his mess in and set his little butt down in the seat because we're going for a boat ride.
He just trolling it.
Yeah,
He just gonna troll it behind you.
He just messing me up. I got to wait on him to wind that thing in. Then he got to get down out of the back seat. So I said, no. When you see me put my hand on that troll motor rope, it's time for you to wind your mess in and sit down.
He wanted to fish, man.
He didn't care. So it wasn't 15 minutes later, man, I saw a school of fish and I jerked that troll. He was right into motion of making one of them 100-yard casts. And he just threw rod and reel all in the water.
Did he really? That beautiful rod reel you gave?
There went $400 rod. So I just ignored it. I ran over to the birds and I said, Franco, that just makes me sick. What'd you throw the rod and reel in the water for? He said, well, I didn't want to hoe you up, boss man. I said, well, that makes me sick you threw your rod and reel in. He said, oh, Hanky, that wasn't mine. Mine's in the car.
He threw yours in?
Oh, yeah. Oh, Hanky, that wasn't mine.
Man, that's a good man there.
Oh, he was a good man. He was a nut. He threw my rod and reel in. He didn't think nothing of it.
That's true friends right there, because anybody else, you want to put hands on somebody throwing your rod in the water.
Like a joke.
God, man.
We couldn't do that with him. But he made it big. He went on to Johnny Carson. Then he became Dad Siegler in the movie Stroke Race. And
was this before that?
I was a long time before that.
So y'all was hunting and fishing a long time before he got on.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
See, I thought it was after that.
That was in the first time I came to fish with take Franco fishing in order to exchange the deer hunting right was 1980.
Okay.
So that was 15 years before Johnny Carson.
Wow. Yeah. So he did the Johnny Carson in the 90s?
Yeah, I'd say around 90. It could have been 88, 89.
Yeah. I was just thinking it was longer ago than that. Okay.
No. I don't know when the movie Stroke Race, would have to look it up when that came out.
Yeah, but him and Burt Reynolds came real good buddies too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was more buddies with Lonnie Anderson.
Oh.
Yeah, he liked Lonnie.
Man, that's wild. A fella from nowhere. And before the internet too.
Oh, yeah.
To be able to do that.
Oh, yeah.
That's wild, man.
Yeah, he was a bona fide nut, and people loved him. He could captivate a crowd with his foolishness,
Yeah.
He used to carry a little coin around to it. Then he'd always have a free ticket. He'd give everybody a free ticket. Said ain't worth nothing, but it's free.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, he had all kind of stuff. And then he had his quail dropping jewelry.
Yes.
And he'd give them out, and he said, really, they make good wedding rings because most marriages are a bunch of poop anyway. Oh, he was just a nut. He carried
Oh, man.
But I used to ride with him. He'd fly me in the airplane.
He had a strip down there.
And we was in Eufaula, Alabama, fishing with Tom Mann, and Franco kept saying, all right, Hanky, come on, we got to go. It's going to get dark on us. Well, I waited too late, and, of course, we got to Union. It was dark. So he had Miss Hill. He'd buzz her house. And if he buzzed the house, that meant for her to go get the station wagon and go to the bottom of the strip and shine the lights.
And that man would land like that.
We got way off to the right. We were breaking off limbs out of pine trees going through with that airplane through them pine trees. Scared me.
I was about to say, I bet you, oh my goodness.
I mean, it's amazing. It's about to choke the motor out. He'd hit them big pine trees. And so we finally got out of there, and he said, Hanky, I got too far over to the right.
Nuh-uh. Are you serious?
We're going to swing a little more. I said, Franco, no. Let's go to the airport. He said, no, I said, no, Franco, I'm going to bail out of this thing. Let's go to the airport.
So y'all went down to...
Go to that.
Man.
So then there's a frequency you turn your radio to and key your mic. It turns the lights on. But he forgot the frequency.
So y'all out there and landing in the dark?
We circled till we was about out of gas. And finally, he landed in the dark. I thought we was going to blow the tires out. That was my last ride with Franco.
Golly. Somebody said he went under the big bridge in Lockhart.
Oh, yeah, he definitely did. And told me, I forget, Benji Brown, I believe, is who videoed it.
Yes.
But he told Franco, said, Hanky, he said, that thing's pretty low, the water. Said, but what I didn't realize was there's power lines under that bridge.
Oh, shoot.
So he said, I had to go way low. He said, My belly was almost touching the water when I went.
So he didn't scout that out, I don't guess.
Oh,
He
yeah.
just kind of.
Yeah, he said, "Hey, it's a lot more hairy than I thought when I got under there."
Oh boy, no sir.
You
No.
want to ride with him?
No, sir, I'm
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
It takes enough to get me on a passenger jet. So them little private planes, I've been on one, and the turbulence, you don't feel that in a big
Oh, I
jet.
know.
But them little ones, dude, it just feels like you just. I'm like, oh, this is not. It feels like your butt's about to just fall through the plane, man.
The Bible says, "Lo, I'll be with you always."
Yeah, well, I'll be praying to him the whole time I'm in the air too, man.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell a story on it, and you straighten me out if it's right.
Okay.
Ginger Billy was birthed when Dale Earnhardt Jr. retired from racing.
Yes. Dale. Well, you said
Jr.
Junior. Yes,
Yeah.
he was birthed due to
I saw
Dale Jr.
my wife said, "Oh, don't you look at this nut?" Mm-hmm. And of course, I had known you
Forever.
prior to that.
Yes.
And I laughed till I absolutely
Mm-hmm.
cried. Had no earthly idea you were that funny. But I remember one line, "What you doing to breaking my heart?"
Yes, sir. Yes.
I remember that. And that thing went viral.
It did. And, one of the lines I said, well, you got Jeffrey Earnhardt, but he ain't no Earnhardt. And, man, I didn't know Jeffrey Earnhardt was going to see that.
Uh-huh.
It was, and he actually commented on it, and I'm like, oh. And I keep up with all that. Jeffrey Earnhardt has fought MMA before.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the last dude I want to think I was, picking on him. So I ended up going to Talladega because of all that. They gave me like VIP stuff and everything.
Yeah.
So I go to Talladega and he's the first guy that I see. And I'm like, golly. So I woke up, I was like, dude, I was totally kidding. All right. I was playing. I was not. He was like, oh, you good, man. He shook my hand. I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. Yeah. Cause I mean, that's, but yeah, that was the birth, man. That's what started it all. And I don't know if Dale Earnhardt Jr. ever saw that.
Oh, yeah, he's seen it.
Okay,
Oh,
good,
yeah, he's
good,
seen
man.
it.
What was so wild was the fact that was the first one I'd really ever done. I did it in one take. I didn't have to do it over for however. Nowadays, I'll do a video 10 times in a row. That time, I did it once. I posted it, and there were so many people that were like, that thought I was serious. That was really that guy. And I'm like, man, that's a good thing.
Well, they didn't know you.
Yeah, they didn't. They had no
Yeah.
clue. They had no clue. Yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's good. If they can't tell,
Yeah.
that means I actually might have something here.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
So that was the birth of the character Ginger
that
Billy.
was the birth. I can remember standing outside at the fence of the horse pasture right there at my double wide, and my wife walked out, and I said, I think I'm going to call myself Ginger Billy. She said, why? I said, because I'm redheaded and I'm kind of a hillbilly, redneck hillbilly. I said, so we're going to go with that. And man, now I don't even know my real name hardly anymore because I don't hear it. It's Ginger Billy.
Well,
Ginger
let me
Billy,
just
Ginger
tell
Billy.
you, your real name is Ginger Billy.
Yes, it is.
That other guy's gone.
He is not even a real guy
You
anymore.
assassinated him the day you did the Dale Earnhardt Jr. retirement.
I did.
Breaking your heart.
And I've watched wrestlers, WWE wrestlers talk about how they're supposed to be this character, but all of a sudden, that's who they are.
Oh, yeah.
After they live that, it's like, dude, I couldn't differentiate between who was who.
Yeah.
And it's wild, man. It's
Well, you wasn't
wild.
supposed to.
I know,
I mean,
I know. But it's just
that's
so
right.
wild how that happens.
It's
How
like
that-
watching a movie. That character is who he is. Your whole life's a movie
Yep.
now. You're
how
that
it just
character.
takes over your life. But the good thing is, I have allowed people to come into my life, and it's my name, but it's my real life. People know my family. They know my wife. They know my son. I go to shows, man, and meet and greets. They're like, man, I wanted your wife to be here. What's your son doing? I saw y'all won a football game. So it's cool that people are really into.
Yeah, who you are.
Yes.
I mean, but you are that character. I watched one time and you said, oh, I love a thick chick. And
Yes,
she
sir.
sat right there and I'm thinking, Martha looked at me and she said, don't you even think about it. Don't try to
Hey,
kill
man.
you.
Hey, she at first, my wife, Leah is totally different
Oh,
than me.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
She's
pretty.
She's beautiful.
Yeah.
I didn't mean looks, man. I meant like
No,
personality.
let's get into the real stuff.
But she's not very talkative, and until you get to
Quiet,
know her, and of course me, I never shut up. And so it took a while. I'd be like, hey, I got a video I want to do. And she's like, I'm like, baby, come on. And now, most 99% of the time, I'm the victim in the video. She is doing something.
Yeah.
And the women are like, yeah, there we go. And so she has now grown accustomed to it. And I'd say, hey, baby, and she's like, boom, she's on it, man.
Yeah.
And she's great at it. She's good at it.
Yeah.
So,
Not to mention all the money you break it
yeah,
on. She's
yeah.
got like
That's what I'm
that
like. You
too.
see all that stuff from Sephora? That's because of this. So come on, let's do it. Yep, I agree.
I have been so many places. You know, I travel a lot, and I've been doing this for a long time. And I'll go somewhere and I'll see your name on the marquee, and I
Yes,
think,
sir.
I'll be darned. Can you believe that?
Yes.
I mean, you go all over the country, and now I go somewhere and they'll say, where are you from? I said, well, I lived on Lake Norman. But I moved down to Union, South Carolina. Ginger Billy.
Good.
That's where Ginger Billy's from.
Yeah, man.
Do you know Ginger Billy? I mean, everywhere I go.
Yeah, man. It's the internet is crazy how that works. Because I go to the Midwest, I go to the West Coast. I was in Namibia, Africa. I went there for a vacation. And you know, I'm thinking, man, we're in Namibia, Africa. And the time I get there, we get to a gas station and I hear somebody say, Ginger Billy. And I'm like, there's no way, man. Somebody's punking me right now. And I turn around and it is a dude from Namibia. He's like, I am a huge fan. And I'm like, what? Like Africa? You know, and so it is, man, it's amazing. It is amazing. It is amazing.
But you're a funny, crazy son of a gun.
Thank
you.
you.
I would have never, when the very first time I saw that first video, Martha wanted me to see it. I was on at the old Lockhart First Baptist Church on a Sunday morning fixing to walk into church. And she said, you got to see this. You've got to see this. And
Yep.
I said, you can't show me stuff like that before I walk into church. I mean, I was busting a gut.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I a lot of my teachers from school, I was a shy kid. I was a very shy kid, you know, and I was an only child too. And I think that's why my brain, I had 14 imaginary friends. So I had to really be like that. You know, I had to think of things to do. And a lot of my teachers would say, man, you were so, who is this guy? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know where he came from. You know, he's there. No, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
But he has permanently stole your identity. I want to make sure that my crew's filming this because I want to be able to have on my little cell phone that I have got Ginger Billy in my office on my podcast. How big a deal is this?
Oh, it's amazing.
To have the most famous guy. You've even took over Franco's spot.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you are.
I think it's cool to have such a small town and to have so, like, you know, you and Frank Hill and me for such a, and then the guy that I tour with, Brandon Rainwater, he's got a good lawyer. He's from Union.
Is he from Union?
Yes,
I did not know that.
He is. Sunoco. He's from Sunoco area.
How about that?
When I first asked him to go on tour, actually, he told me when we first started talking, he said, man, he said, I said, I'm from Union. Where are you from? He said, oh, I'm from Union. I said, no way, dude. He's like, yeah, man, I'm from Sunoco. Grew up, born and raised. And I'm like, man, that is wild. Two dudes from Union.
How about that?
Touring. You know, it's just, it's a really cool thing, man. It's
You know,
awesome.
Franco, when he was on Johnny Carson, Johnny said, Union, South Carolina. Frank, I'm not familiar. He said, I'm sorry, Johnny. He said, that's a suburb of Lockhart Shoals. He said, we got some big towns around Adamsburg, Buffalo.
That's awesome. That's what I tell people. They say, you know, so school, where'd you go to school? I said, I went to Lockhart. I said, now Lockhart's like the Harvard of Union County schools, okay? We were the more intelligent of all of them. You know, I have to rub it in because we couldn't play no sports. We weren't no good at sports, so I have to make us sound good somehow.
Oh, yeah. The academic is Harvard.
Yeah, it is.
It's amazing.
Right there.
Yeah, and that's where you got that education.
It
you
is.
got a doctorate degree from.
In river ergonomics. You know, I'm a river rat, baby.
You ever
Love it.
fished the Broad River?
Man, many days. Never in a boat, always wading. Because fishing a boat's cool, but I like being in the water.
Yeah.
Especially 90 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
So in that water, you know, bumping them rocks with your shins, busting your toes all up, and fishing. Every
I
summer.
had no earthly idea how knowledgeable you were till that day I caught you down there in my pond, all naked down there
Yes,
fishing.
sir. Yeah, man, I got a little bit of sense in me, you know. But you are definitely, you just saying that about the birds and the fish,
Yeah.
you know, and the bait fish. and saying, "Oh, I watched the birds." And I was thinking, I never would have thought of that. I never would. I was just
you
like, oh,
would've.
look, there's seagulls. You know?
You'd have thought if you'd been out there, but you taught me that all that time I've been trying to keep that line from burring up. That's what you was after.
That's what you're supposed to do. That's how you know that you're doing it the right way, is when you get that bird nest. My son, man, he gives me so much trouble because he's Doe
Oh yeah.
has taught him. I mean,
yeah.
he bait cast.
I get pictures from Dodie all the time of your little boy and with a big bass, and they're together.
Yep, and those are, I love that, because I didn't get to have that.
Yeah.
But my son does.
Yeah, he's got a good grandpa.
Man, does he ever. And
Yeah.
Doe is a fishing addict.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if every week he's going to have that boat attached to that truck
He's going fishing.
and he's going fishing.
Yeah.
And if I'm off doing a show, my boy's going with him.
Yeah. That's
They're
pretty cool.
in the boat together. And man, Doe is more excited about him catching, the
fish
fish.
ahead of himself.
Yes.
I know that.
Yeah, so it is it's just cool to see. It makes me feel good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, now you tour a lot. Do you go every other weekend, every weekend? Tell me how that works.
I am. I try to put family first, but I also try to make provide a good living. And there's a balance. You know how it is. It's a balance. From January to May, I usually tour every weekend. That's my time right there. January to May, I will tour. I will do a show every Friday, every Saturday, and if I have to, it might be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But usually it's a Friday, Saturday. Then I'll be home, fly in Sunday, stay till Thursday, leave back out. I'll do a fall theater tour, 8 to 10 shows. But I've told my booking agent, he's a good dude, and he knows I'm about my son, I'm about my wife, I'm about my family. And I'm like, dude, football season, I'm a coach. I coach. I will not be touring. You can get me out there on a Friday, Saturday, but I'm coaching football. And so there's an understanding that, until my son is grown and out the house, my schedule will be limited. And it provides plenty enough for my family. I ain't got to be super rich. I mean, the money's good enough. I do my YouTube.
4 or 5 million a year, I get you by.
That's pretty good. Gets me a few Honda Ridgeline monster trucks, and I can build me some lawnmowers out of Festivas with that.
I'll say that.
Yes, sir. And so I just noticed, man, I get stressed if I'm doing too much, like too many shows, because I'm like, I can't stand to be away from them that long.
Yeah.
And that might hurt my career. It could hurt me somehow.
I don't believe that's hurt your career.
But I just, I've tried so hard, because the first 2 years I did it, I was gone. I was working at the hospital and then gone on weekends. For the first 2 years of my child's life, I didn't get to see him.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do that no more. I was like, no, this ain't the way to be. And now I am a much happier person. I get to tour, I get to hang out with him, I get to coach, and Leah gets her breaks from me on the weekend. She gets 3-4 days, and every time I leave, I'm like, I'm sure you were just so upset that I'm leaving, and
Heartbroken.
And he's at Mama's most of the time. So she's just up there.
She got a little breathing
Vacation every week, dude.
I'm
Yes,
telling
sir.
you. Martha's got a plaque in the kitchen that says, give a man a fish and feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and get rid of him for the whole weekend.
Yes, sir. Well, and it's deer season too now.
Oh, yeah.
Are you still traveling hunting?
I'm not as much. I'm not as mad at them as I used to be. I've got 4 hunts this year. I'm going to Colorado, and then I'm going to Oklahoma, then I'm going to go to Texas, and then I'm going to hunt around here. So
Okay. All deer, elk, whitetails.
this next hunt I'm going on is next week. I'm going to Colorado to elk and mule deer. They don't have big elk, so I'm going to concentrate. They have giant mule deer, so I'm going to concentrate on mule deer.
Man, I didn't realize how finicky mule deer are.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that the whitetail deer are so much more hardy, like they can survive on so much more, where your mule deer are just have to have just a certain diet,
Yeah.
or they die out.
Yeah. Whitetail have really hurt. As whitetail have gone more into the plains area of the West, they've really knocked a dent in the population of the mule deer.
Yeah, which is wild to me, man, because you see a mule deer, them's a hoss, dude.
Yeah, they weigh 3 300 pounds long.
Goodness, huge. And these whitetail right here, just
They're more aggressive.
yep. That's wild to me.
Like a feist dog.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, more aggressive. Speaking of, I saw a video the other day of a lynx and a bobcat. I'm thinking lynx big cat. Dude, that bobcat whooped him. Whooped him. I'm like, God dang, son. Makes me proud. Him, Bob, we got him around here. I'm like, that's a tough little critter there,
Yes,
man.
sir. Bad. A raccoon. We talked about raccoon. He was a big coon hunter when he was a kid. They eat all my turkey eggs, so I try to trap them. But you get an old boar coon in a trap, you want to get back and open that gate with a stick, because that rascal will eat you up.
Yes, sir. I'd rather let a gator out
I had to.
because he crawl up your leg, son. You are done.
They are bad, dude.
They like a small bear.
Yeah. They think they are a bear.
Yeah,
They don't
yeah.
think they're a small bear. They think they're a 600-pound bear.
That's what I say. That personality there, man. If they was any bigger, we'd be in trouble.
I'm telling
I wouldn't want to go outside. Yeah.
Out of all the places you travel, I know you go to Vegas, you go all kind of places, but have you ever walked out on a stage and thousands of people and been intimidated by that?
Not anymore. Now, when I first started, oh goodness, the first time I ever went on stage was at the Gold Nugget Casino, I think, or in Tulsa. But man, there was at least 3,000 people there. Now, this is I'm just an opener, just doing 5 minutes. 5 minutes don't sound long.
Oh, it's forever.
It is an eternity.
It's forever.
And when you're nervous, you're gonna speed through your material.
Yeah.
So I get up there, and man, my heart. I don't know if there's a drug that can make your heart beat that fast. And luckily, the guy I was opening for, his fan base is all women.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, you make them laugh once, you half naked in Daisy Dukes, you've done your job here, okay? So I get out there, I tell my 2 whole jokes I had, they laugh, and I'm like, that adrenaline rush, there's nothing compared to it. I've always been a guy, I have to have something
Yeah.
to make me feel good, feel alive. And you continue. It's just like anything else. Now I walk out and I'm like, I love it.
Yeah.
There's no better feeling to know that these people spent their hard-earned money
Come hear you.
to come see you. But there, to me, is also an obligation that if they come in and spending their money, I've got to deliver too. I've got to make sure, hey, man, I don't want them saying, why did I spend my money on that? Yeah. So there is that. I stay nervous about that, and I try to make sure people do have a really good time. But I don't know. I just don't know if there's anything that can feel that good.
You've done an incredible job, and you've built such a broad fan base, and you've got such an internet following. And I don't really want to hurt your feelings, but I want to be honest with you, and I think that's necessary. You're not the best engineer.
I'm the best engineer if you want something to run good for 5 minutes.
I saw you cross the little ditch, and your little front end came off.
My Tesla? Yeah. Man, I tell you what, though, that little old Tesla, we took a golf cart, and we built that. No, if it lasts 5 to 10 minutes, but what we put it through in that 5 to 10 minutes is more than what most people put it through in a lifetime.
It wasn't really all that much of a rough terrain. When you crossed the ditch and went up the hill, the front end came off.
Yeah, it caught the back end of the bank and just But if you see the real Teslas, their back ends rip off too.
Oh.
Yep.
So you made it authentic.
Made it exactly like the real one. I don't know if the real one's made out of plywood and sheet metal, but it looks like I got it right.
Pretty sure they're not.
Yeah, mine was probably cheaper. Mine's good, but it's a cool thing to ride around in.
It was handmade.
Handmade, baby.
Yeah, one of a kind.
But I tell you what, that you learn real quick, that sheet metal will cut you into pieces too. We cut them windows, and I'm riding with my arm down here, and I look, and I'm like, somebody done cut me with a knife, man. So, but yeah, my engineering is what it is supposed to be. It is supposed to be like every dude in the backyard is like, you know what? I'm gonna turn my car into a lawnmower today. And I ain't got lifts. I ain't got no special tools. We get out there, and for the longest time, we was under an oak tree in front of my double wide with 2 cinder blocks and a car jack and a drop cord hanging out the front door. So now I've got me a building. I look like I'm done moved up in the world. Ooh. Yes, sir.
You can actually work at night with lights.
I can work at night. I can work in the rain.
Oh,
yes,
man.
sir. Yep, I'm a little bougie now, as they say, as the youngins say, right? Ain't that the word?
How many projects you got laid out for the future, like the Tesla? What you gonna build next?
Well, I just saw where Tesla made a robot. I don't know if you saw that. Have you seen that? Man, they was at this convention, and these robots come walking out, and they're serving people, and they look like humanoid. I'm like, it looks so real that you'd think people was in them. I mean, it's weird. And I'm gonna make a redneck version of the Tesla robot.
Oh,
yeah,
man, that's gonna be
yeah.
interesting.
Of course, I'll be in it though. I'm gonna be in the robot, but I'm gonna have, we're gonna make it out of trash cans and stuff. But
We got to figure out a way. We got a little contest going now where you can. Bill Dance, Jimmy Houston, and I in a contest to see who can get the most people to sign up to win a free Mercury outboard.
ooh,
We got to get you to sign up. Anybody that wins, you got your choice up to a 300 horsepower, which is worth, a lot of money.
goodness gracious!
So we got to get you from Wading and figure out how to get you because it's going to be hard to hook that Mercury outboard to your back.
Yeah, it would be.
You're going to have to have a boat.
Yeah, God. So why? But now you say up to 300, they can pick a different horsepower if they want to.
Yeah, if you say you got a boat and I'd like 150 horsepower and I'm like to repower my boat.
Oh.
So I need 150. But if you say I'm gonna buy me a new boat, I want that 300. It's your option. You.
But you win it, and you can
you
pick
win it,
what
but you got
size.
to register under Hank Parker. We'll put up a link. Can
Yeah.
we do that? We'll put up
Yeah.
a link at the end where you can win. But you need to go win you one. But then you're gonna have to figure out how to attach it.
Oh man, I'll attach that to something. 300 horsepower.
Yeah.
Woo, doggy. It ain't gonna be.
I can see a good. I can see a good.
God, dog.
Oh yeah.
You see me on the broad just like that right
Oh
there.
yeah. You have to have a plywood boat.
Yes, sir.
Oh man.
I got me some little aluminum pontoons, so I can make something.
Oh yeah. That's gonna be exciting.
You had to go fishing with me on it.
Yeah. Well, I hope you win that outboard. That would be a big deal. Get you a 300
gracious.
horsepower on the Broad River.
Man, that'll be a Mercury commercial right there, dude. They'd
like
love that. Goodness gracious. Bill Dance, huh?
Yeah.
Y'all good buddies.
We are good buddies.
Man, his bloopers, he is.
He is a blooper.
His bloopers made. I think like all his fishing was awesome, but the bloopers were,
He is truly a blooper.
Really?
He really is. I mean, he's the funniest guy, and he has more mishaps for real. I guess that's where that thing got started. But I've seen some that never made the air. Jackie Smith that used to play. He's a Hall of Fame football player. Played for the Cardinals, and played for the Cowboys some as well. But anyway, he went to work for Bill in public relations when he got out of football. And Jackie told Bill, he said they had to do this thing for a winch company, and they had a winch anchor where if you didn't have a tree to wrap the cable around, this thing had an angle that you could put it in the ground, and it would bite harder and harder, and you could pull your truck out if you're stuck in a mud hole.
wow.
And so he had that winch anchor, and Bill kept putting it off. And so the show starts airing in January. So this was sometime up around Christmas. He said, Bill, we got to shoot this commercial, and we got to get it done today. So Bill said, all right. Well, they went out there in Memphis, Tennessee, and the ground's frozen. So Jackie puts that winch at the right angle, and Bill hits the little button, and that thing goes flying through his windshield and by his head.
Oh my goodness, dude.
Don't work on frozen ground.
Well, now you know, I
Yeah.
guess. We've almost decapitated him.
Yeah, I said, why did that not make the blooper reel? That
Dude.
ought to be. He said, oh no, that'll never make the blooper
Goodness
reel. That was
gracious,
that
man.
was a scary moment.
Whew, we've had some scary ones. You try to make a homemade bush hog, things can go wrong. Oh boy, yeah, it's not OSHA approved. Some of the things
my
we do.
How you come up with all that stuff?
I really do believe, like I said, that only child living out in the country. You know where Wilkesburg is?
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, man, I lived out there on that little back road with my mom and my nanny, and there was no kids. So mama be at work, nanny be babysitting me, and I'm out there just trying to think of something to entertain myself. So I think it's because of that. I think my imagination, and I feel like a lot of people as they grow, they lose it. You lose your imagination because you're in the adult world. You don't use it. But me, in this profession, I get to. So my mind is just constantly going crazy.
So you revert back to your childhood and all your imaginary friends.
I do. Yeah, I asked them for advice.
My youngest son Timmy, he had an imaginary friend named Jimmy. So every time Timmy would do something, he said, "Oh, Jimmy did that."
Oh, that's a good one, though.
Oh,
Blame
yeah.
it on him.
Oh, Jimmy did that. I didn't do that. Jimmy did that. And he wouldn't come off of that. We could not get him off of Jimmy.
I've seen movies like that.
Yeah, Jimmy wouldn't budge. So we got Timmy a Christmas present. We got Jimmy a Christmas
Really?
present. Yeah. And so I would let Timmy, I said, "You can't open that. That's for Jimmy." And that's how we broke him. Finally, one day he said,
Psychological.
"There ain't no Jimmy."
That is genius.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
So
the
he
only
found-
thing that broke him. He kept looking at that box. He wanted to get it. I said, "No, no, no. That's for Jimmy."
Man, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
Dude.
finally he said, "There ain't no Jimmy."
Son, you're 17 years old. It's time to.
That's right. That's right. That's what Foxworthy said. You know, you might be a redneck if you walk your kid to school because you're in the same grade.
Foxworthy.
Yeah.
Who was it? Who was I talking to? Oh, our builder, our home builder, who built our house.
Yeah.
Good guy, awesome guy. He was hunting out in Kansas. And who was there with him? Jeff Foxworthy was hunting. You know, he didn't know at the time, but then he said, "Man, he's the coolest guy." He said, and this made me feel good. He said, "Dude, I just want you to know he knows you. He's seen your stuff. He thinks you're funny." And I'm like, that dude is it.
Oh, yeah, he's the man.
The blue collar guys.
Oh,
man.
yeah, he's
You know,
the man.
and that made me feel so good.
That
You know,
is
just
awesome.
to know that he just even knows, that made me feel good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He is the funniest guy. David Blanton is a real good friend of mine. And David Blanton and Michael Waddell and Foxworthy used to do all these crazy skits with about hunting. And Mr. Buck, he was Coach Buck. And he was instructing all these does not to put footprints out on the power line. It is the funniest thing.
I got a deer hunting one coming up too. I'm gonna make it's unusual ways to deer hunt. Yep. And I got one, you know, where I'm gonna be hunting beside a deer crossing sign. People don't think about that. Deers like when cars are riding down the road, they seem to jump out. So I got something for that.
Well, be sure to wear a safety harness.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
You are very lucky.
Oh, I was blessed, not lucky.
Well,
you know.
yes,
Yeah,
blessed.
I was blessed.
Blessed, because did you break anything?
I did not.
How, man? That's wild.
It is wild.
Because how far did you fall?
I fell 22 feet,
Oh, did you land on your back?
flat on my back.
Is that probably a good thing? 'Cause if you landed this
I wouldn't
way,
have thought so, but it must have been. My stepson was there. He said it was the most violent thing he's ever seen.
so he saw you
He
fall.
thought I was dead. He said I landed flat on my back and turned a flip, bounced 5 feet in the air, and turned a flip and landed on my head. Of course, it knocked me out.
Oh, you was knocked out.
Yeah, it knocked me out. I don't remember the flip. I remember hitting the ground momentarily.
And then,
And that's the last thing I remember. So when I came to, he was feeling, see if I had a pulse. He thought I was dead. And when I came to, I looked and I said, "Well, where am I?" And he said, "You're on your farm." I said, "I know that. I know that." He said, "You do know that?" I said, "Yeah, I know that." But I said, "Where am I on my farm?" He said, "You're on the AT&T line." I said, "I know that. But I mean, where's the tree I fell out of?" Because I'm looking right in front of me. And he said, "Oh, it's up there."
oh, you bounced.
Yeah, I said, "How in the world did I get this far away from that tree?" He said, "Well, I heard that strap break. I was trying to tighten the last strap at the very top of the tree.
And the
it broke.
strap broke?
And when it broke, it just threw me out in the wide
Oh, so
open.
you kind of,
Yeah. And he said, "Man, you look like a backwards flying squirrel. You came out of that tree. And then when you hit," he said, "it's so violent, you flipped straight up in the air and turned the flip away from the tree." So that's why I ended up so far away from the tree.
but I guess lucky for you, there wasn't no trees right there.
Oh, man, I went between them.
Golly, that was
And
luck.
where I landed,
Yeah, that was more than luck, of course.
yeah, when I landed, it was all pine needles.
Oh,
No rocks. No,
man, that's wild.
It's like God said, "Okay,
Yeah.
you're a dummy
Yep.
and you messed up, but I'm going to take care of you in spite of your ignorance."
Man, that's crazy. I was racing up in New York this past summer.
Racing?
Yeah, dirt track. 602 Sportsman, open wheel.
Oh, come
Yeah,
on.
I've probably raced like 4 times this year. Yeah.
No kidding.
Raced twice up in New York, raced once in Lakeview, South Carolina, and then I raced Thunder Bombers in Lawrence. But now, man, never set foot in a dirt track car. Never. But I ride side by sides, all that, and I'm competitive, so I was like, we'll give it a shot. And I was running out of 28 cars, 14th. Now I started from the back of the pack, worked my way up. This was the second race, and I'm coming around, and I kind of bumped somebody in one of the first 2 laps, but I'm coming around to turn 2, and my steering box just goes, so there's no steering. At 100 miles an hour, my car just shoots off into the infield. Well, there's these cement pillars here, cement pillars there, and telephone poles. Somehow, couldn't drive it. The car just shot off right between them. And I mean, it was just as wide as from me to that table. So, watching it on video, I'm like,
How'd that happen?
yeah, man, because 100 miles an hour doing this, and all of a sudden, and it just.
Did you build that steering box?
I did not. I didn't build anything on the car. I was just driving it. Yes, sir.
That's a good thing.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it might would have held up if I'd have built that one, but
No, I don't think so.
but-
After watching that Tesla, I
know,
believe you better. I
man.
bet you better let somebody else build
I
it.
tell you what, you go shooting through there, and you see these just, and it, once I hit the grass, it was spin. And when I finally stopped, Leah's like, you don't understand how lucky, how fortunate, how blessed you are that you didn't smash them pillars. So yeah, man, I feel you. I feel you. Yeah,
My
sometimes-
guardian angel, when I get to heaven, he's going to say, man, I'm glad you finally up here. You have worked me.
I'm
today."
tired, dude.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
wore out.
Yep, mine too. He's like, man, golly, what is wrong with you?
Well, what is wrong with you? Have you ever figured it out?
I have not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. And what's wild is there is no pursuit for fame here. Like the numbers are awesome. I enjoy meeting the people that watch. The stand-up comedy I enjoy, but I think it's more, I just want to see, like, I want to be good. But it's not like the numbers really, I just want to be, I want people to say, man, he's great at that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're a great fisherman. You've won the top of the top.
The first one you ever did, we go right back to where Ginger Billy was birthed. It was so obvious that you were into that character.
Yes.
I mean, this is the first one you ever really did. It went viral. Everybody loved it. But they saw that. It was genuine. You really got into that character.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you
But-
made him come alive.
But have you, through your 40 years of your career, has it ever gotten to the point to where you're so stressed? Did you ever get so stressed, or like there's times I get writer's block, and this is how I provide for my family now. So if you're not putting stuff out, you're not getting paid, and also if you're not putting stuff out, you're not in front of people. There's other people putting stuff out, so you can just be left. You know what I'm saying? One day you're relevant, next day you're not. So is it you never felt like stressed or
When I started, my career was based on performance on the water because I was competing in bass tournaments. And so you got 250 people of the best from all over the country. And if you're going to be impactful, you've got to honestly rank in the top 10. And there's a lot of demand in that because all these guys are wanting to win.
yeah.
So I was able to pull that off from really my first year in competition. And I maintained that throughout my whole career. My career was very short compared to most professional fishermen. I only fished competitively for about 17 years.
That's short?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like Man Dam's been out there for 25 years. He just retired. Clun just retired. He fished for 40 years. Ricky Clun.
Wow.
So Larry Nixon just retired. He fished for 38, 39 years. These guys fish a long time. My career was very, very short. And so I gravitated into television. Well, television actually was more competitive for sponsor dollars than was tournament fishing.
Yeah, definitely.
Because Bill Dance, number one, you're not going to mess with his sponsors. He's on a level all by himself.
As you came in, he was already.
Yeah, he was the man. I probably would have never been able to accomplish what I accomplished had it not been for him because he paved the way for all of us. But then you had Jerry McKinnis. He had been out there a long time. Those guys were staples. You're not going to – but then you had Jimmy Houston, Roland Martin, and they also were on that second tier. So I came in and you had Ron Shear, you had Al Linder, you had Billy Westmoreland. You had all these different shows, and Now you're competing against them.
Yeah.
You had Orlando Wilson and all these guys. We were very competitive to get sponsors. So you sit there and you watch, and you're trying to get a sponsor, and all of a sudden you watch the credits at the end of their show, and they got them. Well, how'd they outdo me? How did they beat me?
Yes.
How they get? So you get in that competitive world, and all of a sudden, man, you have a downturn. You lose a couple of sponsors, and your competition, they pick them up.
Yep.
And so the pressure of trying to keep your show entertaining, I have no problem with that and never have. I love to fish. I love people. And I treat the camera in the boat just like it's my buddy. And when I'm alive, when I got that camera, because that's my buddy.
Yeah.
And I did a show the other day with Mr. Crappie, Wally Marshall. And every time we had stopped to address the camera, he said, "Now, folks, let me tell you." I said, "Wally, hold on, time out. They're not folks. They're our friends.
Yeah.
They're fishing with us. Don't address them as folks. Hey, brother. Hey, sister. Hey, guys. Let me tell you what we got going on. Interact with them. Don't talk down to them. Don't instruct them. And they're not folks."
Yeah.
And he said, "I like that." Wally's a really cool guy. He's a great fisherman. And he said, "I like that." And you're right. You're right. He said, "I just hadn't done enough work on camera to feel comfortable with that camera." I said, "Well, that camera is leading you to your best buddy who's fishing with you. So bypass the camera and go directly to your best buddy and give him whatever advice, or share with him, not necessarily school him, share with him what little bit you've learned and pass that on."
Yes.
And so that's always been who I am with that camera. So I'm comfortable that that's my buddy. All that is a telephone that leads me to talk to my buddy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so-
Now,
but on the other side of that, it's super competitive.
Yes.
To keep sponsors.
that's the thing. See, that's it right there. Is you've got to throw the stressful part to, because you're thinking, okay, I got to pay the bills, but at the same time, you can't show that.
Yeah.
You've
right.
got to show, because people see, oh, he's not. They can tell
Yeah.
really quick if you're into it or not. And so the when it was just for fun, it was just for fun.
Yeah.
But when it becomes a job, when it becomes that's how you pay your bills, then and I'm so competitive that everything I put out, I want it to be big. I can't stand to think I've done all this and it's crap, or it ain't got the views I want it to. So it's hard when you're stressed trying to make
Well,
good
I
content.
watched, for those of you who have never seen, is that little deal where I caught you trespassing, is that available for somebody to view right now?
Yes. Yeah, it's on your YouTube, correct?
Yeah, it's on my YouTube, so you can go to my YouTube and look. How about on yours?
No, I thought we just put it on yours.
Okay, I didn't know whether.
Yeah, we got it on yours. Yeah.
Okay, you can go to my YouTube channel and you can look that up. I caught Ginger Billy trespassing in my pond. If you've never seen that, go look it up and watch it, because you came alive. None of that was rehearsed. We didn't discuss, okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to catch none of that. It was all spontaneity, and your character came alive. And it was just awesome. And I see that in everything you do. You build that Tesla and you go through all, and that's a lot of work, man. I mean, you put a lot of time and effort into doing that. But forget all that. When you became the pilot of that new Tesla, Ginger Billy came alive. And so you don't have any issues of maintaining your character. All the issues are disappointments in not getting the revenue that you work so hard.
Yes.
And that's the same thing I experienced in a little different way.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see it, man. I could see the sponsor thing being rough, because that's how you made your living, right? Sponsors is what paid your bills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
TV right now is very difficult. It's the whole media market with social media, with streaming. Pay TV is kind of out. linear television. The Pursuit channel, I'm on the Pursuit channel, and they have free Pursuit up. So if you got a Samsung TV, if you buy a new Samsung TV, you automatically got them downloaded. That's a big revival to what's going on. About to lose my helmet. That's a big revival what's going on in traditional type television.
Yes.
Now that's streaming. You don't have to have a subscription, and you can watch it. That's going to be the salvation for my show for the future, is what Pursuit's doing.
Yeah.
But most linear television, they just keep going down the hill.
Yeah. Well, now, that's like I was talking to my buddy about watching football. Used to, you turn on TV on Sunday, you got a game on CBS, game on Fox, then you'll have one game that night. Well, now, you want to watch a game on Sunday, you got to go to YouTube TV.
Yeah.
Or, Thursday night, it's on Prime Video.
Yeah, that's right,
and then Peacock. And so you've got 10, 20 different streaming services, plus you have YouTube, Facebook. So now there's so much, and when I started this 6-7 years ago, there wasn't that many people doing the creator thing.
Yeah.
People thought you was a weirdo for doing it.
Well, you are.
But I'm a weirdo.
Me too.
But, but now everybody and their mama is like, they might have a full-time job, but like, why don't I make a video?
Yeah.
So it's so oversaturated, you really got to make something different.
Yeah.
But
let me tell you the difference between you and so many others. I have lost a great part of my revenue through traditional television to what the companies that I work for call influencers.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And these guys have to do something sensational, like set their hair on fire and catch a bass and cast between their legs and catch him behind their back and do all this sensational stuff. Well, and I know, you cannot keep one upping you. You're going to hit the ceiling.
There's a peak.
And that's as far as you're ever going to go. So then you're going to die.
Yep.
But if you're your real self,
yes,
if you're your real character, that's where you're different. That's what I told you when that very first episode you did, the very first thing that went viral about Dale Jr. breaking your heart, leaving NASCAR and retiring. You came alive in that character, so you're real. A lot of these guys that are called influencers, they think of something clever, they think of something sensational, and they think of something funny, and they put it together, and it's a viral success.
but there's no relationship there.
They're not real.
Yeah.
They did it to be that flash in the pan, or they didn't even realize, as you said it earlier, you said this just a minute ago, people know.
Yes.
People know when you're real. When I found out the power of television, I've always been a big guy. And when you go to a sports show or anywhere else out in public, big men, little kids are afraid of you.
Mm-hmm.
And little kids are shy and stay away. After maybe my second or third year in television, and it just dawned on me, I'd go somewhere to do an autograph signing or something of that nature, and these little kids who I never met would come running up and wrap their arms around my leg.
Yeah. It's a big thing, dude.
I thought, wow.
Yes.
The power of television.
Yes.
And you can fool grown-ups, but you can't fool kids.
Yeah. And see, that's another. I was in Starbucks the other day coming home from the airport, and I'm waiting for my order, and I hear a little voice, Ginger Billy. And I turn around, it's an 8-year-old little girl.
Yeah. That's so awesome.
And her brother and her mama. And so their mama and daddy thought enough of me to park the car, come in, and let their kids meet me. And the child ran right up and hugged me.
Yeah.
And man, to trust me
Yeah.
enough
Yeah.
to hug me as a child. And it's, coaching the football game last night, I come off, every kid, Ginger Billy. I pull up to get my son at school. They stop at recess. And so I'm like, man, like you said, when you're connecting with kids, also that gives you a generational, you don't just have 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds. You've got every generation watching you.
Yeah.
And man, that's a much bigger crowd than just say 20 to 30.
Well, see, that's what I'm fighting for, and that's why I'm doing so much in social media today versus where I was, because my audience and my viewers and my fans have aged with me.
Yes.
So all of a sudden, when I was in my prime, my demographics were 30 to 60. Well, now my demographics are 50 to 75.
Yep.
You know, so to reach back and go with these younger kids, high school fishing is something
It's
I'm
a
very
big thing
passionate
now
about.
too, man. That's so
It
cool.
is growing. It is so awesome. So I'm very passionate about that. But to be completely honest, I would go and address a lot of high school kids. If it wouldn't have been for their coaches, they wouldn't have known who I was.
Yes.
They wouldn't have had an idea. Who's Hank Parker?
Yep.
It's like Gerald Swindell said. I was at the Bassmaster Classic in Birmingham, Alabama, and Gerald Swindell, he's a nut. He's funny guy. And he had a bunch of guys there he was signing autographs for. And I was walking down the aisle, and he said, "Look, here comes Hank Parker. He won the Bassmaster Classic in the Old Testament." And that's kind of the way these kids are,
Yep.
you know. Oh, yeah, Hank Parker, he won in the Old Testament.
Yep.
But
Won
now,
it twice, right? You won it twice. You won it
I
twice.
did. I won it in 79 and 89.
Oh, 10 years apart.
Yeah. Hey, you're
Okay.
pretty quick, man.
Hey, man, I told you. The Harvard. I went to the Harvard of Union County School.
That's right. I forgot. I keep overlooking that.
Yes, sir.
So what is next? What you got coming up next? Now, I heard you're going to build a robot.
I'm going to build a robot. We've also got a 23 horsepower go-kart engine that we've turned the back tires into paddles, and we're going to put some little pontoons on there and go fishing at John D. Long Lake.
What if you win that 300 horsepower?
What if? Oh, goodness gracious. Whew. That little
gonna have to
go-kart.
beef that up.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Right now we're going to go with the 22 horsepower go-kart engine. And we're going to see, you might see me. You're going to see it. Man, it'll be cool. We can drive it down the road, run it into the water, cut the engine on, and we're going to, like a ferry boat.
We're going to see how that works.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
got a good life jacket?
I do. I've used it quite a few times off of these inventions.
You might have to call 1822 because that may be twice as big as 911.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun though, you know. And I got a few shows left, and these videos I'm writing stuff daily, you know. And I'm picky, so I pick and choose.
Do you have 911 on speed dial?
I do not. My wife is a nurse practitioner, so I don't have to. I get urgent care visits for free.
Oh man, I hope she's there when you launch that 22 horsepower go kart into John D. Long
But you
Lake.
know what is wild, and I'm better, is as many things as I've done, I've not had one hospital visit.
Really?
Not one. Not one. I run my dirt bike through a chicken pen and gashed it. Probably needed stitches, but I didn't. But I've at this age now, if this would have been my 20s, I'd probably be in the ER daily. But I think I'm smart enough, and I know I've got a wife and son that want to see me. You know, so I try to avoid too much damage and danger. Yeah.
Well, just keep in mind, I was 71 before I took my first helicopter ride to the hospital.
Yeah, Mama told me, she said, he's being airlifted. I was like, goodness gracious, man.
I really thought I'd broke my neck, so you can dodge a bullet, but sooner or later, one of them's going to hit you.
Yes, sir.
You know, those telephone poles at the racetrack, that steering box.
Yep.
One of these days.
Yeah, I'm retiring from racing. It was fun, but it's expensive.
You can't burn it as fast. I went through all that, man. I'm telling you.
Man, I walked up. I made a mistake. I hit the wall in turn 4, blew my front tire out, messed up my back wheel and my back tire, and I should have just told Leah to stay at the truck before I went and bought my new tires and rim. And we walk up, and that guy's like, $1,700. And Leah just looks at me, and I'm like, well, I can't race without tires, okay? I got to have them. But, man, the money, you just, boy, I might as well just set it on fire, dude.
Oh, tell me, I went through it. I had 2 boys that raced, and I raced for a little while. And Earnhardt told me when I started, he said, Parker, you're going to learn how to make a small fortune. I said, really? How's that? He said, start with a large one.
Yes, sir.
It ain't going to take you long.
Yep. You learn quick. So them boys that do it, I don't know how they do it. Them old blue-collar boys, man, that work and put all that money in that car and then go out there and wreck it just to have to do it again.
It's amazing. I wanted to race Rockingham, and Buddy Baker was a good friend of mine, and I bought some cars from Darrell Waltrip.
Oh, yeah.
And I bought Waltrip's primary Bush car that he had ran Rockingham the year before. So I had that car, and I called Buddy Baker, and I said, Felix Sabatas has got Rockingham Racetrack rented for the day, and Dick Seidenspinner works for Felix, and he called me and said if I wanted to come over and test my car, I could do it and wouldn't have to pay any money. So I said, would you go with me to Rockingham? And Buddy's he was just an awesome race car driver. And his dad, Buck Baker, ran a driving school there. So Buddy set up cars all the time for Rockingham. So he was an expert.
He knew the track, yeah.
And he knew exactly what the qualifying speeds were the year before. He knew exactly the number of the Goodyear tire they ran on. So I get Buddy, and we go to Rockingham, and I bring that car that I bought from Walter, and I start testing it. And Buddy says, you need to apex 1 just a little bit more. You're doing really good coming off a 2. But if you stay out just a little bit closer to the wall coming into 3, you're pinching it off a little bit. You're too low on the racetrack. Get up against that wall. Don't be scared of that wall. You'll feel the wall. Get up there and apex just a little bit more coming into 3. You're doing good in 4, and I think you'll be able to make the race. He said, here's what made the race last year. And so by the time the end of the day, and I went through about $12,000 worth of tires that day. He said, by the time I left there, he said, you're going to qualify good. He said, you got a shot of qualifying the top 10.
How fast was you running on that track?
I don't even remember. I was trying to think what the times were. 31. I just can't remember. But I was pretty good.
Yeah.
So, but I'm very ignorant. I had no idea how much tires fall off at Rockingham. If you make, let's just say you run 160 miles an hour on lap 1 on a set of tires. Lap 2, you're down to about 158 miles an hour.
That fast?
And that's how much it falls off. By lap 7 or 8, you're off a second or more. And if you try to run that same speed, you're going to crash.
Wow.
I mean, you can't. So you got to understand, and you got to have a feel for how those tires are falling off. And I didn't know any of that. I had picked up on a little bit of that when Buddy and I was testing. So I'm out there, and so we're going to make a mock qualifying run. Now, Earnhardt, Mark Martin, all these guys, everybody's Morgan Shepherd, all these guys were running, Steve Grissom, Steve Parr, all these guys, big NASCAR heroes of mine. And so they put me on a set of sticker tires and take my car off, and I go out there and make a qualifying run. I passed Earnhardt. I passed Mark Martin. I was
you feeling good, ain't you?
Oh, yeah, I'm the man. I'm doing good. But they're on 50-lap tires, and I'm on stickers.
Okay.
Right.
I got you.
I didn't
You
know.
didn't realize that.
I didn't know.
Okay.
And so when I passed Earnhardt, I went, and he went, what I
Now, was
didn't
y'all
realize-
buddies at this time?
Huh?
Was you and him buddies
Oh,
at
yeah,
this time?
good
Okay,
buddies, yeah.
cool.
What I didn't realize was he was trying to tell me you're an idiot, And so, make a long story short, on lap 5, I tried to run the same speed I ran on lap 1. You cannot do that.
So you've got to know to take off the throttle.
You got to know when to ease out.
Yeah.
So I tried to drive in as deep into 2 as I drove on that first lap. And when I did, I got sideways, car broke loose. I hit the inside wall, spun around, and ended up in the outside wall. And it was a pretty violent wreck. Tore the car all to pieces, and I spent $150 grand on that car, and it's wiped out. So Earnhardt comes to the infield care center, and he said, boy, you better get your honey back to Concord, get that late model car, and leave these things alone. He said, I waved at you to show you, buddy, you messing up. I said, I thought you were just upset because I passed you. He said, man, you was on stickers. I was on 58-lap tires.
Old veteran knew that, didn't he?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Man.
So I crashed and wiped out a car, but it was a fun time. I tried to race Martinsville. I bought a car from Earnhardt to race Martinsville, and it was a car he had gotten from Kenny Wallace. It was a really good car, but I had my A-arm on the right side snapped when I was trying to qualify, but I would have made Martinsville.
Dang, dude.
That would have been pretty cool. Now, I'd have crashed out in the race because I didn't have enough sense to know.
Yeah, but the fact is that you did that.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
you
it
can
was
say
fun.
you was on the track with them dudes.
Yeah.
That's cool, dude.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's freaking awesome, man.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Nice.
But Earnhardt knew I had no business out there.
Yeah.
Now he said, I'm going to tell you something about your boy. Your boy can drive. He's a lot smarter than you are.
Yeah. Well, I had a dude racing the second race that I was racing up there right before my steering box broke. I was running good, and a guy had spun out lap before. Well, they put him at the back of the pack, you know, and we going around, and all of a sudden he gets up there with me. Well, he tries to cut in front of me around a turn. Well, I kind of hit him into the wall. Because to me, if you're going to pass me, you're going to work for it.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to let you pass me.
Yeah.
And so he ran through the wall. I go to the pits after that race or whatever, and his daddy comes running up my pits. You owe me money. You owe me money. You run us into the wall. You owe me $500. I said, sir, your ER bill is going to be a lot higher than that if you don't get out of my pit stall. And because my pit, man, my dude, pit crew chief was a Division I college wrestler. And he got mad because that guy was like, I'm going to buy a car and I'm going to run you into the wall. And when my pit crew chief heard that, oh, God. I was like, bro, you think, you got to worry about this dude.
Oh,
so I got the real feel for the dirt track. It was good, though.
Yeah.
It was good, yeah.
We used to say all the time, we're going to go to a fight and a race may
Yep.
break out.
Yep, that's what it is, too,
I'm
man.
telling
You
you.
see one, dude. But, yes, sir.
My kids loved it. We did a lot of it. It was a lot of fun. But it is the most expensive thing I know to do.
Yeah.
I don't think you can burn money as fast as you can spend it in the race.
No, I like I said, you meet some good people there. Everybody's, until you racing, it's
yeah.
you meet really good people. But I'm just, you see these trucks coming in, these toy haulers, just double decker car, backup car. I'm like, what do they do for a living? I mean, goodness gracious, they ain't no YouTuber. I'll tell you that much.
Well, I used to wonder the same thing. Everybody had all the stuff. Hank Jr. won 2 races in his Bush career on $1 million budget when we was racing against everybody with $3 and $4 million. So it was pretty cool to pull that off.
No, that's awesome, dude. That tells you he's a good driver.
He was a good driver.
Man, good deal.
He and Billy both did a great job. We had a lot of fun. NASCAR's All-Pro division was a lot of fun. But when you move up, there's a big difference between the haves and the have-nots.
You see
the
that.
haves got $5-6 million, and you got $1 million.
Yeah.
There ain't no way to race again.
You see that now.
Yeah,
It just ain't, I don't know. That ain't what it used to be.
that's racing.
Yep.
Dollar bills buy speed.
Yeah, well, that's why I'd be the slowest car out there then.
All right, well, let's close this thing out now. What's next for Ginger Billy? Where are you touring next?
Hitting the
Where you
road, I'm going to Pocola, Oklahoma, near Fort Smith, Arkansas. I'll be there this weekend. Then I'm off for about a month, so we're going to go to the fair. We're going to go to the Union County Fair.
The Union County Fair started Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll go tomorrow night, and then I'll go out to Oklahoma, and I'll be off for a couple weeks.
Man, that'll be good.
Yes, sir.
I hope you enjoy your time with your family, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on
No,
the
it's always
podcast.
good seeing you, dude.
That's awesome.
Always good. Thank you, man. Thank you for
awesome.
having me.
Hey, guys, Ginger Billy. Tell them bye, Ginger.
Bye. Love y'all. Have a good
All
one.
right, man. Hey, thank you for watching. God bless you, and I'll see you next time. Wow, that was good times.
Good job. Good deal.